What is going on, boys and girls of YouTube? We are knocking out the final top 5 list. We've gone through jungle, we went through hunter, mid, solo, the gods, the builds, they're all there, right? You guys have been bugging me. There was a couple days gap here, but we got supports up next. And realistically with supports, if we take a breakdown, we take a break here, we look at all the guardians in the game. Right now, there aren't many warriors that are good. There are not many warriors that are good in support, just how it is. And if you look at the guardians, there's a lot that can be played, but there are some pretty obvious standouts with some gods that should be honorably mentioned. I'm gonna do honorable mentions first, like I have been. Khepri is an honorable mention. As long as you're able to aggress and then fall back when it's time to ult and you're using your ult properly, Khepri is a solid pick. It's pretty good in lane. It's not like crazy pressure, but it should maintain clearing the lane, which is always good. And then you're relevant in most team fights. The problem is you can be counterpicked very easily by executes. They're popular anyway, and then they're even more popular when you're picked. And your overall team presence is lacking. You don't have a bunch of abilities that really help the team do much, like survive or do anything else. Another honorable mention for me is Kumba. I think Kumba is actually pretty good because it's very easy to play. You have a Mez, which is great for peel. Your 2 now has a cripple on it, if you didn't know that. And then your ultimate to usually buy your team time by CCing somebody who does a lot of damage. You know, someone dive in your backline or something along those lines. But it's a fairly easy god to play. It's not mechanically difficult. And realistically, in lower end games, you should be able to CC lots of people for an extended period of time because people are just running around being idiots. My last honorable mention is Kimbo. If you're looking for an aggressive, I'm going to be in their face, they might have more than 100 type of god, Kimbo is that god, but nothing about him is great. He has his ult for the team fights, but that's his main thing. He's a very annoying god, which means the lower ranked you are, the more relevant he is. Being annoying on a guardian will win you a game, oddly enough. Not all the time, but it can win you a game. So, that being said, honorable mentions out of the way. Number 5 on our list. That's really weird. I just skipped a frame. Not really sure why. Anyway. Number 5 on our list is Ganesha. Simple. The god has a silence, which is great for keeping people from getting away or for anyone diving. You usually aren't the one being CC'd. You have an amazing ultimate to disrupt the team fight and to burn an objective, which is pretty rare on a support. Your 3 is great setup. It's single target. You know, hit this target. Like you don't have to say anything. Like, they can see you're knocking them up. They're gonna hit them, right? And then your 1 is really good for lane clear. I mean, you got a little bit of everything. The biggest thing about Ganesh is there's a lot of gods that are played that he can stop them from doing what they need to do. ARIES, he can stop him from getting multiple chains. He can stop him from using his 3, so you can win lane against an ARIES. It just depends on your matchups. There are some ADCs that you can be very annoying against. It really depends on what it is you're matching up against. But the biggest thing is all of his team fights are relevant, and his silence is one of the best support abilities in the game that isn't an ultimate, in my opinion. For the build, there's a lot here. I have to set up for you guys. Actives, you can go whatever you want right now. I'm gonna be completely and utterly honest with you. But going into shell is usually gonna be the most consistent. I wish I had gone into the upgraded shells here. Not really sure why. That's probably why I couldn't see it. So your shells. Fortifying shell if you're against a normal team comp. Phantom shell if there is an Odin or Ymir walls are annoying or Kabrakan walls are annoying. All right, simple. Frenzy is very, very, very good. Okay, Frenzy is insane, especially when you're playing any kind of setup god. You pop it, you run in, or say you hit an ult and then you pop it and then you CC them, right? I don't know if they're not called, are they just belts? There we go. I was looking for the belts. So you're gonna usually just want to go the belt of insatiable, if I even said it right, hunger. The berserker is a high amount, but it trickles down very quickly. The hunger is gonna last all time. Plus if you get kills, it extends. Very, very good belt. Now, these aren't must go actives. You can really go whatever you want. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. You could go cloak of meditation, and you could also go horrific, and you could also go brace of radiance. They are all very good actives. You have to try to judge what you're playing against. If you can't really, if there isn't like a scenario where you really feel confident going something else, it's fine to go these 2. These 2 are very, very consistent. Ultra super consistent. Meditation is gonna be more for being aggressive. And then horrific's gonna be more for if their comp doesn't have movement or they don't have sprints or anything to break that slow. That becomes very valuable for you and your team to go horrific. That's for all guardians, except for 1 or 2. That's for most of these guardians. For the build, you're gonna want to go Sentinel's Brace 99% of the time. Frenzy, not Frenzy. I don't know why I wanted to say Frenzy. My brain not working right now. War Flag upgrade is very, very good if you're being constantly aggressive while moving around the map. Right now, the support is stuck in the duo lane for very long periods of time. You're there till like 11 minutes, and then you go to the beacon at 12 minutes, then you're back in the duel lane for a while. It's crazy. So that doesn't have as much value. Sentinels is always going to be consistent. Sturdy Stew is the food you're going to go every time to make you a little bit tankier. Gauntlet of Thieves Rush is going to be the move. Tankiest once you get the stacks. Make sure you prioritize those stacks when you first get the item. Then you get to go a little selfish. We go Breastplate of Valor. Do not upgrade it in anything else. Go Eldritch Dagger. Okay. Eldritch. Don't know what I can say. Anything. Eldritch Dagger is now busted. It's reducing the cooldown of your actives by 50 seconds, I think. And it's got really good stats. It has no defense, but health, cooldown. Can't really go wrong with that item overall. Then at this point, we're really lacking magic defense. So during this, you need to avoid mid damage, the mid-mage damage. Avoid it, meaning don't get hit by Krakens, don't get hit by Kukulkanals. Avoid the major ability. It should be super easy for you to not get hit by a major ability. All right. The little stuff, if it hits you, it's fine. Then you go on Hunter's Garb. If you are dying at this point to mages, just you can't help it, swap these two. Then Spectral Armor if they're going crit. If they are going crit, this last item can be whatever you want. It could be a Stone of Binding to get your team to do more damage. It could be an Erosion if they have shields. These are the items that you're really swapping between the two. So Erosion if they have any shielding gods, Geb's in the game, Karin's in the game, whatever it is. And then Stone of Binding if you're just looking for more damage, give your team that pen you want whenever you CC them. Always valuable. I have Salve and Amulet here. If they're heavy stacked physical damage, meaning they have 4 physical gods, you probably want to grab a Salve. It will keep your team alive. You can drop whatever it is you need, but probably drop the Breastplate of Valor and lose the cooldown. It's fine. You'll survive. It'll be all right. Heart Ward. If they're 4 magic, you want to get that Heart Ward. The Heart Ward, though, you're going to throw into the breastplate and you're going to need to make up that physical defense. If you do that, you would swap out this Heart Ward and breastplate, and then this item needs to be physical defense. It could be the Spectral if they're going crit. It could be any physical defense item that you want for your character. It could be the breastplate, whatever it is you need. The builds for support, I won't say they're all counter. It's not like crazy counter building, but your item order changes. And sometimes you prioritize a physical where magical goes, magical where physical goes if they are overstacking. So here's your overall build for support. Hopefully it's not too confusing. If it is, drop it, just ask in the comments. I can break it down even more if necessary. Don't think you're building wrong if you're going like a standard build. Make sure you don't build Spectral. If they have to have crit for you to build Spectral, because Spectral is really not even that good of an item. It's just sometimes necessary. It helps a little bit with crit. So don't just build this for no reason, but the rest of the stuff you can almost build all the time and have no issues. Ganesh, number 5 on our list. Number 4 on our list is Sobek. I love Sobek, especially in ranked and in lower level ranked. You have easy setup. Okay, look, the pluck. That person, you just pluck on cooldown, make people's lives hell. If you can't land the pluck consistently, use the knockback and then pluck off of the knockback. Then you should never miss. Use your ult anytime you're really pressured or in a position where you could die. Use your ult like freely. Don't be afraid to use the ult. It's okay if the ult doesn't do anything. If you are going for a kill, say they have no mobility, you get the pluck off, that will slow them and it'll do a lot of damage, so it's very valuable. CC immunity is very good against some of these matchups. Play against an ARIES, or you play against a Ganesh, or you play against some other guardian that's annoying for you. That ult's gonna buy you a lot of time. Then your 3 has anti-healing as well as healing for yourself and sustain, so you get a little bit of poke and you're really good against a lot of these healing comps that are being played. You're good against hunters and their lifesteal. Awesome god. The build, I'm not going to go over the builds over and over again. The builds are the exact same for Sobek. Same items, same stuff, nothing different. So if you need to look for the build for Sobek, go back to Ganesh and just look at the build. It's the same stuff. If you're skipping ahead or whatever, just so you guys know. Number 3 on our list is ARIES. Now, why is ARIES good? They buffed ARIES twice back to back. They lowered the cooldown of his shackles. No idea why. They lowered the cooldown of his shackles. 13 seconds at lowest rank. And you usually have cooldown. You almost always are going to have cooldown on a god like ARIES, right? That's just with the items, with Blue Shaman Totem, all that stuff. It's very, very easy to get what you need. Your 2, buffing your teammates, giving them attack damage, giving you CC reduction. So pop this anytime you're about to get stunned, you're about to get knocked up, whatever it is. If you think you're about to go to a fight and get CC'd, pop that all the time. It also gives you 40 prots at max rank. You get shackle bonus. So the way ARIES is played is you will usually hit your chains on somebody. Then you will 2, and then you will hit your chains on somebody, and then you will auto, and then you'll hit your chains on somebody. That will give you the bonus shackled protections, and you will be very tanky. Your 3 is going to be your core ability for clearing. Make sure you're grouping up the wave for your hunter to hit and clear, and then use your 1 to hit through the creeps and poke. So you will one through the creeps onto like the Guardian or the Hunter, wherever you can hit, so you can get extra damage as well as pressure them out. Aries ult on cooldown. Anytime there's a fight, anytime you want to burn beads, just Aries ult on cooldown. Can't go wrong. Make sure you tell your team you're going to go in first, but you can't go wrong. Now, with Aries, your starter, a lot of the time you're going to want blink. Just straight up, it's going to make your life a lot easier. You can go blink second, but in reality, you should be running the map as Aries. You should go blink on your first starter and just run around and pressure every lane. Anytime a beads isn't up or anytime someone's like out of position, you should be able to blink on them, change them, hit them with your combos, dead all the time, right? Now, I didn't talk about this with the Ganesh build. I don't know why. I mentioned Sov and I mentioned Heart Ward as swappable items when they overstack physical or magical damage. You need to also be able to build pen. Not pen. Oh my gosh, my brain is fried. Anti-heal. You need to be able to build anti-heal. So you could swap out that breastplate for contagion if they're heavy stacked on healing, or you could swap out the fourth item for pestilence or contagion or whatever it is you need. Just make sure if they have healing, you're building anti-heal. That's simple. That's straightforward. The rest of the build's the same outside of the blink. You do really like auras on Aries, okay? But we also really, really like cooldown because we want to build ult as much as possible. So I talked about the builds are pretty much the same. They are basically the same. Items like Shoguns become way more valuable though than the Onis. So you might look at getting a Shoguns. You're going to definitely want cooldown. So you could also go prophetic in that second slot. So your build might change up a bit. It really comes down to you and your play preference. I'll give you a quick, little what it would look like. So gauntlets, get those stacks going right away. Prophetic second. If you go prophetic, you need to stack this fast. Oh, sorry, I did this in the wrong order. You have to stack prophetic fast. You won't get the max stacks if you aren't running around trying to stack them. Now with this build, you have, like I'm talking about prophetic stacks, you need to be very, very active if you do this. This is not something you can do and then just sit in lane and mess around. You need to literally sprint around and hit your chains on somebody every single time your change is up. You need to stack the prophetic right away, and then when you get Gauntlet of Thebes, you need to prioritize getting those stacks by being in lanes and getting the passive assist all day. You have to do that. If you don't do that, you're not going to have a good time. Now, if you go this build, we're going to go the Eldritch next. Going to give you more HP, going to give you everything you need, a little bit more cooldown, so you're sitting at 20%. You're in a very good place. Now, we talked about wanting auras. You've got 2 already. You've got 3, including prophetic. We can then go into the Shoguns, buff your team. This is going to give you 40% cooldown with Shaman Totem. Then your last item, always up in the air, what you need. If you need anti-heal, make sure you build anti-heal. If you need reduce attack speed, so they have 2 hunters. Mid-Guardian Mail. If they... I don't know, the physical gods are wrecking your team, you can go sovereignty. These slots are almost on most builds right now. Literally mages, assassins, not really hunters, but mages, assassins, guardians, warriors. There's a huge gap in the last slot where you can go whatever you want as long as you're building it for the team. Okay, something that helps your team. It could even be, you'd probably be being very, very risky doing this, but you can even go divine maybe. If you're looking to pump a little bit of damage while also get the anti-heal out that you don't have already. It is up to you. Just kind of be aware and notice and pay attention to what the problem is. If there's a problem. If there's no problem, then the item really won't matter that much. Sounds weird to say, but tanks are super tanky if you even get to this build. If you get this far in the build, I'll be surprised. Most games end before you finish your build as a support. It is super rare, even on a god like Aries. It's super rare. So, Aries, number 3 on the list. Number 2 on the list is Geb. This should not surprise you. If it does, you're trolling. One of the highest win rate gods in the game currently. Why? His shield is OP. His ultimate does a ton of damage. 580 base. 15% of the target's current health. 2 seconds on max rank. His ult is definitely one of the best Guardian ults in the game, and people don't realize it. I don't know why people don't value it. His lane clear is pretty solid between the knock-up. His shield pretty much guarantees nobody's going to die in lane. It counters a ton of these gods that are being played right now. It counters specific gods like Athena, because, Athena taunts teammate. You shield them out, they're gone. Fenrir is a hard counter to. Daji, it's a hard counter to. Geb does great into every single team comp. The only downside I'd say to Geb is he doesn't create lane pressure, but he doesn't not create lane pressure. He clears fairly good with his 2. His 2 hitting for 380 base. Strong god. His rotations are Immaculate because his rollout has high base damage, by the way, don't forget. God's nuts. Also 65% less crit damage. So all these hunters, everyone's pretty much going crit. You're seeing Mercuries get played. You're seeing ability Ools get played in other roles with crit. There's lots of crit going right now. So Geb is going to do well against that. That's all there is to it. Now for Geb's build, he can build similar to ARIES if you want to play aggressive blink engage Geb. So you could build pretty much the exact same as the ARIES. Make sure you have cooldown. Going prophetic on Geb is very risky. It's super uncommon for you to be able to spam your abilities and get that prophetic like you did on ARIES. But the blink into the normal build, your Gauntlet of Thebes, your cooldown, whether that's breastplate or Pridwin or whatever it is you end up going like cooldown slot, your Eldritch, your magic defense, get your cooldown, blink on cooldown, have fun with it. Can't really go wrong with that. Or you can just go that normal Ganesh build where you're going 2 actives for the team. Your ult doesn't always have to be an engage ult. Sometimes you could mosey on in to somebody, wait a little bit, and then ult. A lot of the time that will happen. You don't have to insta blink ult. Remember that. You can also use your ult for peel. Up to you. The God does well ult engaging and then turning around and 2ing for peel. Or if you just have a really good ult using your 2 rate off of that to knock up multiple people. Completely up to you. Geb, number 2 on our list. And our last one on the list. There's no world you didn't expect this. Athena's the best, probably the best God overall in the game right now. Just being honest. In ranked, Athena's a must ban. Like, out of every God, Athena's the one must ban for me all day, every day. You could also do the same kind of thing. Let's talk about the builds first, or the abilities first. They buffed Athena. Your 2 now slows attack speed. So your 2 is even more OP. Okay. Your 3 slows their movement. It used to be your 1. You used to have to dash in to slow them. No more. Now you can save your dash to chase. You can save your dash to disengage. You can use your dash to get in range and then at the taunt because you don't need to hit them to slow them. The combo between the 3 and the 2 is now completely busted. It is very, very strong. Then on top of that, they gave the ult movement speed to the person that you're ulting. So you zoom somebody up, whether to chase somebody down and land on them and hit for 640 or to get them out of the fight. These 3 changes were massive. Combined the quality of life and just everything else made Athena busted. That simple. Athena's clear is good. Athena's poke is good. Athena can burn beads easier than any other God in the game because you just have to hit a taunt with someone behind you and they're going to want to beads. And then you can ult to any part of the map. So if your rotations are bad, like you don't know where you want to go, just use that ult on cooldown. Anytime a fight's happening, get to the fight, ult in, you'll have a good time. For the build, you can go blink. I don't think you should. I think for the late hyper late game, it's better having 2 actives on this God because in the hyper late game, you're just kind of walking up and taunting. You don't want to be super out of position and you don't really want to dash in and put yourself that far away from your teammates. You want to walk up, taunt, combo them with your team, insta kill somebody, have fun. The rest of the build is essentially the same. You're looking for your sentinels. You're looking for your Gauntlet of Thebes. I wouldn't really recommend prophetic. You could go it, but it's a lot harder to just keep stacking. It's very, very un-Athena like because your taunt is on a longer cooldown and you're running around trying to spam that for the most part. It's on an 18 to 16 second cooldown. It's a little ridiculous, so I wouldn't really recommend prophetic. Breastplate does well. Eldritch does well. Oni's does well. Shogun's does well. All the normal items do well. Getting anti-heal should be no problem. With these Guardians, as long as you're tanky, and then you look up for a little bit of selfish items in there for cooldown and for whatever tank stats you need, Athena kills it. I mean, I love Athena. She's ridiculous. If she's up in your game and you're a support, you should play her every game. There is no support that beats her. In terms of matchups, Geb is the most annoying because he can shield somebody out, but you could taunt the Geb. You could taunt the Geb and somebody else. You could just get the Geb to shield that person and then swap targets. Geb can't always just shield your taunt target because your junglers and everyone else should be going on somebody. They're gonna have to shield that person. You do well against ARIES. If ARIES ults you, you ult. You don't get pulled. The easiest thing in the world for you to do, right? Most of your other raw matchups in lane, you can interrupt abilities like ARIES 3. You can run around and just taunt and be annoying. You can rotate in almost like a jungler and hit a fat taunt and gank the solo lane, gank the mid lane. Athena, and with the gods that are played in the game right now, the top, like your top mages, a lot of your top assassins, your hunters, they can all follow up perfectly off of a taunt. And in the very, very late game, if you taunt somebody and they beads, you just gotta be like, hey, let's wait for 10 seconds because you're gonna have cooldown. Wait 10 seconds for my 2 to come back up and we're gonna kill that person. Then you taunt them again, 2 or 3 autos from a hunter, a mage ability, whatever, they're dead instantly. You have to be a little bit more patient sometimes in the hyper late game. You also need to try to keep track of beads. Ask people, did they use beads or beads up, this, that. You want to know that information because that will be your target. The person without beads is always gonna be your target. You're gonna have a good game if you're doing that. So that's our top 5 supports, guardians. There isn't a lot to it, in my opinion. I think solo is a very easy role in terms of the gods, like knowing what gods to play, and in terms of the build. I think your matchups and your laning phase is where most people will struggle, so you need to play the gods over and over again to learn who you do well against, how to play your matchups, how to play the duo lane with whatever hunter you have. There's a lot to learn when you're playing with another person and a different god every game and against a different god every game. There's a lot you have to process, so don't be too hard on yourselves if you are struggling. I would say being a support main sub diamond is a little harder to do. If you're playing support and you're not diamond plus, like diamond or higher, have a duo, queue with a jungler, queue with a hunter, and just play around each other, because that's the main way you will get wins as a support. Supports are great. If you have a good player in your game and you're a good support, you can make sure that person wins the match for you very, very easily. But if nobody's good in your game, you can't make sure you win the game. So that's why I think duo queuing is important. If possible, make friends, do what you can. Hopefully this video helps you guys. Hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow, the next day, and the next day.